Well, my friends, winter is right around the corner. I just bought a new street bike helmet and I want to test this thing out a little bit before winter hits. We only have maybe a week or two of riding left. We're gonna rip the bike today. New helmet is definitely amazing. It is an Icon. It's usually what I run is Icons. They're fairly reasonably priced and they fit good. Feels lightweight on your head. Just a badass helmet overall. I need to make a quick trip over to Idaho. So I'm gonna take out the 10. We need to go drop off this filler neck. This guy is for the Evo 8. We need to have it re-powder coated and it's a little bit too big for our oven. I got it all welded up yesterday and made sure it didn't leak. First weld leaked, so I had to redo it. Let's go drop this off so we can get that car 100% finished up back on the road. I ran out of gas and we're in Idaho and there's no E85 out here. Back to pump gas we go. All right guys, we are back in the shop. Went and dropped off that filler neck and I was about to head down to a place called Spalding's and grab a OEM replacement front fender. And then I happened to run across one, an OEM one here local for 50 bucks. It's silver, but it doesn't matter. I would much rather have OEM panels on this car versus like an OEM replacement. So we're gonna grab that later on. The last few days, we've made a ton of progress with refitting this wide body kit. Rear quarter panels are welded up. Front fender is 100% finished up. We can't do the driver's side front fender yet until we get the actual OEM metal fender in. And then we started working on that rear passenger last night. So let's go ahead and get that finished up. I'm really excited to see how good we can get everything to fit. All right, we got the panel mocked up on there. She definitely needs a little bit of adjusting. If we mount it how it was mounted before, it does hit the door a little bit, as you guys can see. And I'm guessing that's probably why they trimmed the edge of the door just a little bit. Thankfully, it wasn't trimmed so much to where it split open that seam. But all we're gonna have to do is simply take this panel, move it back a 1/16 of an inch. That'll fix that overhang right there, clean up that line back there, and clean up that line right there, and it'll look much better. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead, pop out all of these riv nuts, and then we can get this entire thing adjusted, sitting where it needs to sit, and then start fixing some fitment issues up in this region here. We will have to pull apart the interior on the back to get to the back side of that stud, which isn't a big deal. So that panel's gotta come off. That one's gotta come off. This car's a mess, but it'll be worth it in the end. All right, we ran into another little minor issue. It's gonna be easy to resolve. So I pulled off this back cover. We can only get access to that bolt or that stud right there from the backside. These two up front, we will have to pop in from underneath. So right up in there. So we have two options. Option one, scrap the whole hidden hardware project, which I don't want to do. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to look good. Option two, drill the 1.5 inch hole with our hole saw like we have before. And being that, of course, we don't want any sort of water getting up in there. I found some nice rubber plugs on Amazon. And I think if we just drill that 1.5 inch hole, we can get the nut onto the backside of the stud and then throw that rubber cap in there or that rubber plug in there. We should be good to go. So that is what I'm gonna do. Let's go ahead, knock out those holes that we need to get, and then we can get this whole fender sitting how it should. So everything is sitting where it needs to sit. The most important thing I was working on was that body line from that over fender to the door piece. We got it pretty decent. It's a little bit big down here, but honestly, it's 5,000 times better than what it was, and I'm happy with that. So I'm not gonna spend the time to try and add a bunch of material on down there. I don't think it's really worth it in my opinion, because overall, I think it fits really nice. Door opens and closes just fine. Gap from the panel to the body right here inside the door jamb. It's pretty tight, looks good. That gap there looks amazing. Kit fits well if you take the time to install it well. Moving on to the worst fitting panel that we had, driver's side rear. Well, worst fitting panel other than that rep rear bumper that we're trying to install is the driver's side rear. So I'm gonna spend some time. Let's see if we can get this thing to fit right. It was way off, way off. And when I say way off, I mean like this body gap right here. This is exactly where it was when we got the car. So as you can see, this thing is gonna take a while to get to fit, but quick little reference. Before, all right, we've made some really good progress. As you guys can see, that body line is 10,000 times better. Everything is fitting nice. Two main important things that we got to do on this side. This panel down here, you see where I cut that? That was bent way in, and it was not allowing the fender to sit where it needs to. It needed to go way more forward. So I cut on the back side, cut a little bit on the front side. We're gonna have to reinforce that, but not a big deal whatsoever. And then this piece here would not sit flat on the door. So what I did is clamp it, heated it up, let that clamp sit on there until it completely cooled down. And just like that, we have a much better fitting kit. Gap is good from here down to about here. Gets really tight up in here. So I'm gonna do a little bit of sanding right here and see if we can't open that gap up. It's not 100%, but I think it's as good as I'm going to get it. Overall, extremely pleased with the progress that we made on this driver's rear. Let's go ahead and move on to the front bumper. I'm waiting on that fender to be delivered, so it should be here any time now. But in the meantime, we need to get the bumper on the car and then get the wide body pieces mocked up on the bumper. We're gonna have to do a ton of fiberglass work, I'm assuming, on those pieces, but that is a very loud helicopter, and let's get this figured out. I freaking love this bumper. Imagine that with a big old fatty front mount intercooler filling that big old gap we got going on there. Bumper fits really, really nice. It does have quick releases, but I'm pretty sure that the over fender is gonna cover both of those. So yeah, not exactly sure what we're gonna do, but we will figure something out. This kind of fiberglass and modification work is definitely uncharted territory for myself. I have no idea what I'm doing. Officially, no idea. Trying to get this front bumper piece to fit onto this Voltex bumper. Main problem, this bend right here should be down here, but that's where it is for like the OEM bumper. I might just leave that, honestly. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if this is gonna look good or not. So I already lopped a ton off the bottom. What we could do, attach it there, attach it down there, obviously fiberglass all that in, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna mold this piece into the bumper. I think that's the only way we can get it to look good. I think I might just leave that gap in there because if I filled that in, it would look kind of funny if you had a body line there and a body line there. I don't know what else to do. We can't move the whole thing down because then we would lose this whole cutout for the vent. So yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do. Pretty much leave it like that. That is how she should sit. I guess we'll see how that looks when I'm all done with it. All right, so this is what it's gonna look like all said and done. Like that. Little gap is what it is. I don't know of a better way to fix it, and quite honestly, I think it's cool. Like I said, this is gonna be one piece with that, so it's all gonna be fiberglassed in. We attached here, this line here, and this whole line down here, and that is gonna sit flush back like that. We have a little bit of work to do right here. Overall, I'm impressed. Let's stand back and take a look. Hell yeah, that looks sick. Also, I'm adding in 2 quick releases right here. And then I really want the bumper attached to the body of the car somewhere. For now, I have a screw in there, but I'm probably gonna put a quick release, or either a quick release or just a really, really, really nice looking piece of hardware right there, because there's a metal bracket right behind that. I don't want the whole entire bumper resting on just these fiberglassed on wide body panels. I'm excited. I think that looks sick. I did order up some carbon fiber vents, so I'm sure we're gonna have to trim out the bumper to get them to fit, which won't be a big deal. We can do that later on. Let's go ahead and mock up the other side, get it looking like this. Also, our fender did show up. It's a little bit beat up, but perfect for what we need because we have to cut it apart for the wide body anyway. This one right here, so the driver's side and the passenger side are completely different. This one's about 4 inches shorter. That hole is completely different shaped. Not really sure what's going on there, but that is putting a little halt on our front bumper project for the day. Would have been nice to get this whole front end finished up though. I think right now I want to run before the hardware store closes and pick up all the hardware that we need to do the hidden hardware project. So we're gonna need some bolts, probably washers and nuts. So let's hop on the bike, rip down there and grab some stuff. All right, my friends, we are back with some hardware. I just got a few boxes. So 100 1/4-20 nuts, 100 1/4-inch flat washers, and 100 1/4-20 1-inch length screws because they have the smallest head on them. Now I'm sure we're still gonna have to grind down this head for a few of the locations. This head cannot stick above outside of this countersunk area, or else you're gonna see that when we go to apply the filler, wrap over it, you're gonna see all that. So I'll probably grind all of the heads down, to be honest, just to be on the safe side. We really need to get all of these epoxied in because the epoxy takes 24 hours to cure. So what we're gonna do is go ahead, swap out the front fender with the new front fender, get that front fender cut for the wide body. So it's not gonna look like this. It needs to look like this. It's exactly how that fender needs to look. So let's go ahead, pull off headlight, bumper, fender, get the new fender on, get the new fender cut, get the wide body panel onto the fender, and then we can move on with life and our janky STI soon to be nice project. All right, we got the front fender pretty much all finished up. I need to drill the holes. One thing I want to show you guys real quick is what we're using to kind of hold the fender in place. These guys are called Cleco clips. They're really handy for this kind of stuff. It takes an 1/8-inch hole and it's a reusable clip. So where's the pliers at? Let me show you guys how these work. We have them in the pliers, compress the pliers, and that you see the tip of it there. It gets smaller when you compress the pliers, and then you retract the pliers and the tip of the clip expands. Let me show you guys what it looks like on this piece here. So we drill the 1/8-inch hole. As you can see, we cannot get this clip in. Clamp her down, put the clip through the hole, release, and now clip does not come out. Perfect for mocking up the wide body. If you put it in the wrong place on accident, you have a tiny little hole. Much easier to fill versus like a 3/8. Very handy, would highly recommend. Fender looks like it fits perfect. No gaps like we had on the other side. There might be a little tiny one there. That'll take like 2 seconds of heat gun. Heat that guy up, push it in, should be good there. Coming down through here, the fender to door gap looks freaking amazing. So I'm gonna run through, knock out all these holes in the metal fender, and we will be back on track. Now, of course, this fender is gonna have to be painted. I know the car is being wrapped, but it's black underneath, and I don't want a random silver fender sitting on the car underneath the wrap, especially inside the engine bay. That's janky. So whenever we spray other panels on this car, which I already know we're gonna have to do, we can go ahead and knock out the fender at the same time. I think a bench grinder may be the next purchase in store for the shop. I don't really have a good way of grinding these heads down except for what we're doing. And it's sketchy. It's very, very sketchy. But that's all we have, so that's what we're gonna do. I have like 40 heads to grind down. So it's gonna take a minute, but we gotta get it done. Four bolts took 20 minutes. What is that, 5 minutes a bolt? So 5 minutes times 40, 200 minutes, 2.5 hours, right? 3 hours, over 3 hours. I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow and go buy a bench grinder. Not only is this sketchy as hell, it's also gonna take four freaking ever. I guess the only thing we can do tonight would be to get that rear bumper to fit, or I guess to figure out if we're even gonna use that rear bumper. We tried to fit it on yesterday, and I knew right off the bat it was gonna take a lot of work as soon as I set it on the car. So let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can get it to fit. If not, we are gonna have to buy a new OEM bumper. This bumper right here is the one that we pulled off. The diffuser was cut out. I do not like that look whatsoever. So like I said, if we can't get this aftermarket one to fit on this car, we are gonna have to find another solution. Along with that front fender that we picked up today, we were also able to get the rear hatch struts, which are desperately needed because I was sick of using the broom. So let's get these things on, slap that rear bumper on, and see if we're gonna be running it or not. All right, we need to get this thing mounted up kind of like firmly on the edges. She fits nothing like an OEM bumper, but with enough massaging, trimming, cutting, adding, filling, sanding, cutting, we can get it to fit. And I'm very confident of that. So let's give her hell. First thing we're gonna do is add in some quick releases. Quick releases are gonna be, see that hole right there? That's where the factory little bracket will sit. We're not gonna be using that bracket. That hole is going to be for the quick release. The quick release is going to be invisible. It's going to be sitting behind the wide body panel. So there's going to be a little button right here. Nice, simple, clean, simple yet effective. Let's get that finished. Let's get that knocked out. And then we need to trim the bumper. We need to get the wide body panels mounted. And then from there we can kind of try and go through and do the finishing touches. fitment wise with this bumper. Passenger side is finished up. Let's go ahead and slap on the fenders. We need to cut the bumper, get the holes drilled in the bumper. Really curious to see how this is gonna look with these Voltex style bumpers. Another problem, remember how the front bumper extensions were different side to side? So are the rear. I thought they just installed them weird on the OEM bumper, because if you guys go back a few videos, or if you can remember, one stuck over the bumper about an inch and one stuck inside the bumper. So they fit completely different. And then on this bumper too, they fit completely different. So I put them up side by side and look what we found. If you take this guy here, right? And you take this guy here, technically, you would think they would be the same length. So if that edge is touching up there, look how much shorter it is down here. So overall, the shape is different, the length is different. Oh wow, look at that. Both sitting down flat. That one sticks up an extra ½ inch over that one. So this side fits pretty good. That side doesn't really fit at all. I don't know if maybe one's for a different generation. Maybe it is, maybe they just don't fit good. I don't know. I'm gonna get in contact with Mountain Rider and see if I can order both the front bumper extensions, rear bumper extensions, and hopefully that works. Hopefully they can fit. All right, I just spent like 20 or 30 minutes just messing around with the rear bumper extensions. With enough dickering, we can definitely get them to fit. I would have to trim one quite a bit and then kind of re-fiberglass some areas. I think it would work. I'm not gonna do that until Mountain Rider Design gets back to me and lets me know what the hell is going on with these things. And if they say, yeah, you're good to go, then I'll cut them. I hope you guys are not getting sick of kind of the redundant, repetitive, wide body stuff on this car. It's taking so much work, a little bit more work in time than I was initially expecting and planning out for this car to get everything to fit right, especially with these bumpers. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right here. It's getting late, 11 p.m., another long day in the shop. Yesterday I said we were gonna have everything epoxied and start rewrapping stuff, but yeah, obviously that did not happen. So I'm hoping tomorrow we can at least get stuff epoxied and hopefully get everything filled as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.